What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel and check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on. I recently watched a episode of Sophie Cunningham. She has a podcast. I think this she does this podcast with a friend of hers, right? And so during this podcast, the topic of Dewanna Bonner came up. And this is where she was able to like to tell like what she really felt about the Dewanna Bonner situation, that happened with them in Indiana. Now, if you don't if, for people who don't know, like Dewanna Bonner was brought over to she was brought over to the Indiana Fever as a veteran who could really, offer some, be a great locker room person, somebody with their experience in the league to, some add some maturity and some wisdom to that roster, that young team that they have, kind of like be, a mentor, right? And so Dewanna Bonner stayed there for a few games and decided it wasn't working out for her. I think she didn't get as much time as she thought she was going to get, and she wasn't happy, and so she rolled out with basically not even telling her teammates anything, just just basically just ghosting them, bailed out on them, right? And so Sophie Cunningham on her podcast, kind of, she went into a little bit of what she thought about it. And I thought that Sophie Cunningham was I thought she was very respectful in her responses to what Dewanna Bonner said, right? But I'm gonna read some of what she said, right? And so she starts off by saying, "I'm still rooting for her. I want her to be happy, but I also think it's okay to be a professional about it. Send a text to your teammates. Hey guys, sorry this didn't work out. Good luck, etc. There's a way to handle this thing, professionally." And so I thought that, I thought that, Sophie Cunningham was very honest about the situation. I thought that the way that Dewanna Bonner handled it was not professional. And not only was it not professional, but like a lot of time when they do things like this, or sometimes some of these WNBA players do things like this, they don't even think that you have the right to criticize. Like when she went back to Indiana and she was playing with the Fever, Dewanna Bonner, she's playing with the Fever, and the Fever fan was booing. The fans were booing her, and some of her teammates, her and her teammates, like took offense to that. But coming from a fan standpoint, like what did you think was going to happen when you left the way you left? You know, it's okay to, as long as you're praising Dewanna Bonner, for her years in the league and her dedication and how hard of a player she's been, how good of a player she's been. It's okay for fans to do that. But then when you disappoint a fan base and you let a fan base down, you can only expect the fans to be honest with you. And it just seems like to me, in this whole a lot of times the fans are really the only ones who are honest about these situations that's going on. Like some of these players in the WNBA, and Dewanna Bonner included, they don't want to be like criticized at all, even if it's constructive criticism. They just want to take the praise without any of the criticism, and they'll catch an attitude. And so that's why I say, like, when Sophie Cunningham, and I was surprised that she, on this podcast, because like I said, I think it's her and a friend of hers, a high school friend of hers, who do this podcast. And I was surprised that, that she was as candid as she was. I thought maybe she, because she has so much respect, it seems like, for Dewanna Bonner. And like she said that, she said she's still rooting for her. She still want her to be happy, but she thought that she could have handled it in a more professional way. And so that really to me is I mean, what more can you ask for, especially for somebody who you put who who is held in such high regards around the league, right? People hold her in high regards around the league. They had a lot of respect for her, and as a matter of fact, her and Stephanie White has a really good relationship. But it just seemed like to Dewanna Bonner, like that relationship didn't mean anything to her because she just rolled out. She just left without even saying anything. And I just think that, like it to me, like the young lady Sophie Cunningham just said, I just said it was, it's just so unprofessional. And to leave the way she left is really like it's like a stain on her reputation, her not really her legacy, but it's like a stain on her reputation. Because I don't think that I don't think that all of the praise that she get, and with all of the praise that she get, why was she not able to hold herself to a higher standard? And then when and conduct herself or move in a way that somebody who has the being held in a high regard, like she is, like somebody who's held in that high regard would move in a way like that. So, what Sophie Cunningham said about her, in my opinion, was spot on because she is just, she just let a lot of people down, and she just put a big stain on her own reputation by doing that. And it just seems that none of what she said when she was in the process of signing with the Indiana Fever. She was saying how she was looking forward to coming there. And she understood that, what her role would be as far as like, a veteran presence in the locker room. And and she didn't, she just, all of that stuff went out the window. I guess once things didn't go the way she wanted them to go. I just think that everything was out the window. And for her to be upset when she went back to Indiana, be upset with Indiana Fever fans because they showed her like what they really felt about her. I just thought that was kind of like hypocritical of her to not to expect Fever fans to react the way that they act. Um, even in the even in the press conference when they asked Aaliyah Boston about the situation, I thought look, Aaliyah Boston handled it. I thought she handled it pretty well. She said that, really that, personally, what the Fever fans did really didn't have anything to do with her. And she basically said that, what do you expect, under these circumstances? Like, what basically do you expect? Fans are going to do what fans are going to do. And so, um, I mean, it is what it is, and so like, and Aaliyah Boston just laid it out there. How can you expect fans to react any other way when you basically just ran out on the team? And like I said, people just held her in a higher regard. She, kind not only did she let the team down, but I think she kind of let herself down when she just left like that. And so I was glad to hear Sophie Cunningham address this in her podcast. And it's refreshing to hear somebody say that, I mean, the way it was handled on her end just was not professional. It wasn't professional. And she didn't, Sophie Cunningham is not holding any she don't have any ill will against her. She said that, she's still rooting for her. And I'm pretty sure she still has respect for Dewanna Bonner. I think that, you can still respect Dewanna Bonner, but just know that, like this move that she made this time was in a lot of people's opinion wasn't something that people can respect. It wasn't something that people can really get behind and Dewanna Bonner really, like I said, it's just a stain, in my opinion. It's like a stain on her image. And Indiana Fever fans just, they gave her what she deserved. But, you know, and she didn't appreciate it. Her teammates didn't appreciate it. I know Aaliyah, what's her name? Aaliyah Copper addressed it, and they say things about the fan base, but this, the fan base would not have had anything to say had she handled this situation in the right way. If she signed a contract, honor the contract. If you have to stay for 1 year, you know, make the best of the situation. People don't even honor contracts anymore. Make the best of the situation and then move on. If it's not what you thought it was going to be, but once you commit, you commit. People words are not even good anymore. And then they expect you to be okay with them breaking their word and breaking their promise, and you can't criticize it. So that's why I was glad that Sophie Cunningham just came on and just basically, just told how she felt about the situation. And so that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I will check you all out in the next video. Peace.